I thought, I'm going to have to learn how to meet women because it's not working and I don't want to be alone for the rest of my life. And I thought, this will be easy to approach women. Holy fuck, is approaching a woman that you think is beautiful incredibly hard. I had to pause because I actually got a call from the woman that I really like. That we're so focused on what people think of us. We're outsourcing our self-worth that we're attached to this outcome. Okay, if I walk up there and she rejects me, there must be something the matter with me. Women, whether they know it or not, have this amazing emotional sensor. She's actually going to pick up on the feeling, not what you're saying. And so sometimes the absolute worst thing that we can do as guys is try and impress somebody rather than just go up and talk and listen. And I've found that the absolute best thing to do is just walk up and say hi. It's that simple. Hi. And then somebody says hi back. Remember, you don't want an Instagram or a number from somebody who isn't interested in you. About learning to be in your body, seeing what emotions come up, and being able to actually express those to somebody and be vulnerable and to detach from an outcome. To build real connection. And after you build connection, you can start to build attraction. And that just going up and talking to people feels really good. And it feels really good for them too. And the most beautiful thing for me is that women are not some sort of an object to win over. I apologize to all the women that I ever did that with. It was unconscious and I wasn't aware I was doing that. I'm sure a lot of guys who are watching this know deep down that they've done the same thing. To be able to know what that feels like is to use your imagination to visualize what it's like to have that partner. 2 days in after that, I met somebody who I'm just completely crazy for. Hopefully it helps. And I can see the comments like, this guy goes on one date and thinks he knows what he's talking about. Hello, friends. If you're watching this, it's because you saw my reel about erasing dating apps and learning to approach women in real life, but not in a pickup artistry kind of way. 1, this is totally unscripted. 2, it's fucking bright, so I have these weird glasses on, but they're great. 3, I'm not a dating coach. I'm not selling any sort of dating coach, like join my program, my cohort or anything. This is purely because I've learned to build an identity for myself that has changed my life. And in my pursuit of sharing all these different identities that can be built to help me realize and materialize all of my ambitions, my many, many ambitions, this is one of the most important ones. I will share some tips of coaches and things like that that I've used at the end, should you be called to do that. But for the most part, I'm going to just share exactly what I've been doing so that you can follow and you can work on changing your life. So before getting into exactly what I've been going through, I'll just share who I am in case you don't follow my channel or you don't know who I am. My name is Dom Coryell. I'm an entrepreneur and a tech executive. Currently, I lead a growth team at Shopify, amazing company. If you're not on Shopify and you want to start a business, definitely do it. That's a plug. That's the one plug. And I spent a lot of time with AI, and I've worked at Meta, and I've worked at Instacart, and I've started multiple different companies. I won the Global Student Entrepreneur of the Year when I was in college from Forbes and Kaufman, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Why do I say all this? I'm not trying to brag. I'm just trying to let you know that I'm not some like woo-woo fuck off who doesn't know what they're talking about. And as a really successful guy, as a millionaire, I still was having lots of problems meeting women, and it was terrible. Like, if I have to admit, like the one thing that I felt like was lacking in my life was that there was something the matter with me. And if you are facing that kind of scarcity, even if you're not wildly successful, it doesn't actually matter. You will follow what I'm going to say here, and you will learn to do this process so that you can learn about yourself. Because at the end of the day, we are all just mirrors of each other. And I will get into some sort of kind of like woo-woo spiritual stuff. I'm a little bit of a wonky guy, but I'm a good gateway between the two worlds. I'll stay grounded in the real world and won't preach that you need to follow God or anything like that. But we are just mirrors of each other. And one of the things that you learn in relationships is that you attract what it is that you are. And so lots of times the things that you see in other people are the things that you see in yourself that you don't see in yourself that you don't like about yourself, which is like kind of this like really wild way of thinking about the universe. But regardless, being alone really sucks. And I was relying on dating apps, and I was living in Colorado Springs, Colorado, where everybody's either married or a stoner or a super right-wing Christian, and I just didn't meet anybody. And I thought, what's the matter with me, Dom? Like, have I lost my edge? I was always so successful with women in high school and college, etc. And I started to really examine this. And I saw this program about approaching women. And the first thing I thought was, oh, that's pickup artist bullshit. And then I looked more at the program. It's called Everlasting Confidence. And it's this amazing coach, Daniel Jacobs. And I'll share all that at the end. And it was an expensive program, but I decided to join it. If you followed my path, you'll know that I always invest in coaching for myself. And 2 years ago, I was 275 pounds. I was drinking every day. I joined Superhuman, which is a really expensive program on building identities around being an athlete. And it changed my life. I got down to 10% body fat. I quit drinking. I went on a personal growth journey. And so this program was my next program. 2 years later that I was going to invest in myself. I thought, I'm going to have to learn how to meet women because it's not working and I don't want to be alone for the rest of my life. There's nothing the matter with me despite me thinking there was because of what was happening. Anyway, I joined the program and I thought this will be easy to approach women. I can speak on a stage. I talk to thousands of people at a time. I do sales calls, even though I'm not a salesperson, et cetera, et cetera. Holy fuck. Is approaching a woman that you think is beautiful incredibly hard. It might not be for everybody, but I'm guessing that 8 out of 10 of the guys who are watching this have that same problem because we've been conditioned to think that we have to go up and impress this person. I had to pause because I actually got a call from the woman that I really like. Okay, so now I'm back. And what I was saying is that we're so focused on what people think of us. We're outsourcing our self-worth that we're attached to this outcome. And this outcome is make it or break it. It's like do or die. It's like, okay, if I walk up there and she rejects me, there must be something the matter with me. When really, yeah, it could be that you come across as a creep or something like that, but like you'll get over that. Or that you're super awkward, you'll get over that. But really, what it comes down to is maybe that person just doesn't want to be talked to. That being said, if you learn to walk up and feel what you're feeling in your body and get out of your head and get down into your body, you will be able to resonate with that person. Women, whether they know it or not, have this amazing emotional sensor. And so if you walk up and you start talking about how great you are and all that, but you don't feel that great, she's actually going to pick up on the feeling, not what you're saying. And so sometimes the absolute worst thing that we can do as guys is try and impress somebody rather than just go up and talk and listen. And if you learn to do that and you learn to take pauses and slow yourself down, not the way I'm talking right now where I'm talking fast, you start to listen and you get clues. And I've found that the absolute best thing to do is just walk up and say, hi. It's that simple. Hi. And then somebody says hi back. And you say, you know, I saw you over there and I was really drawn to just come get to know you. How are you feeling about that? How do you feel today? And just let it go one step at a time. And don't be attached to an outcome of having to get on a date, having to get an Instagram, having to get a number. You don't want an Instagram or a number from somebody who isn't interested in you. Just see if there's a connection. See if you can explain how you're feeling. This was the real big breakaway in this program that I did, was being able to express to a woman in that moment how you felt. Maybe I walk up and I'm starting to feel my heart beating. And rather than trying to come across as some super confident guy, I'd say, you know, I don't do this that often. And my heart is fucking fluttering. And I feel uncomfortable doing this. So just bear with me. I'm not always like this. And it's completely counterintuitive. And it's not a game. You don't go up and you don't say that if your heart's not fluttering. But if you can tune in and understand, hold on. Don't fully remember where I was. It was something about learning to be in your body, seeing what emotions come up, and being able to actually express those to somebody and be vulnerable and to detach from an outcome. If you are able to do those three things, just those, they're hard, you will learn to start to have authentic conversations that will then enable you to start to build real connection. And after you build connection, you can start to build attraction. When you first start this, you might not be attracting anybody. You might actually just be going up and having what seemed like that's a friendly guy kind of conversation. You might not have the ability to express intent, to tell a woman that you find her attractive in a way that actually resonates with her. And all of that is totally fine. It's actually great because it allows you to just get comfortable in your nervous system and learn to communicate with the opposite sex that feels like a high stakes thing, and realize that it's really not that high stakes, and that just going up and talking to people feels really good, and it feels really good for them too. Now, you might find people who aren't open for that, and you can sense pretty immediately that they're just not there. I've had women literally say, no, as that's like, oh shit, like, what do I look like? But you just learn to get over it and just realize that everybody is their own little expression. Everybody's going through their own experience. And then once you start to be able to build connection and you start to learn how to build attraction, you start to go through this thing of thinking about what it is that you really want. And then the most beautiful thing for me is that women are not some sort of an object to win over. And historically, when I've been in this whole performance-based, let me see what I'm worth type of mindset, which candidly, and I hate to say this, has been the majority of my life. Building relationships with women has been about making myself feel better, because I've been very much like a broken little boy trying to prove to myself that I'm valuable, that I'm worth something. And unfortunately, I've been using women to do that. And that's a terrible thing. And I apologize to all of the women that I ever did that with. It was unconscious and I wasn't aware I was doing that. I'm sure a lot of guys who are watching this know deep down that they've done the same thing. But the beautiful thing is that when you start to learn how to build attraction, you start to control the frame, and you start to realize that when you're expressing intent to a woman, it's a hard thing to do, and that you want to do it intentionally. Your intent should be intentional, that you actually have the intention of seeing this through. And if it's not seeing it through for a whole relationship or anything like that, maybe you're not looking for a relationship, at least you're going to be really upfront as to what you are looking for, and make sure that that playing field is level, and make sure that the two of you feel good about whatever interaction it is that you have, and that this isn't some sort of winning women strategy. So all that being said, I got to jump into a conference call right now, but the little manual that I've made has more of the steps that I've gone through, and it has the identity framework from my book called The Daily Growth Map, where you are able to use feelings to build a powerful identity around any ambition. And so this ambition is being able to meet a partner. And the identity is somebody who's able to approach women and express how they feel, to build connection, to build attraction, to have intention with intention, and to be able to know what that feels like is to use your imagination to visualize what it's like to have that partner. In my specific situation, I used this for about a week, and I was able to tune into what it feels like to love myself enough to have that love, and run through that. And lo and behold, 2 days in after that, I met somebody who I'm just completely crazy for. And, that's one example. I'm not saying I can see the comments like, this guy goes on one date and thinks he knows what he's talking about. I'm just sharing my examples as a curious student that's been doing this work for a very long time. Take it or leave it. Hopefully it helps. And check out the manual. And if you like the Daily Growth Map stuff, definitely buy a copy of the Daily Growth Map. It helps support me and get my message out there. And it can be used for all the things, like how I lost 100 pounds, how I quit drinking and smoking, how I've gotten promoted to director, how I've built multiple businesses, saved millions of dollars, et cetera, et cetera. Hopefully this is helpful, everyone.